You know the first fullback ever selected to the Pro Bowl? Moose Johnston. He's got 3 rings, Fox Sports NFL analyst, former Cowboy great, joining us live, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. All right. Big day, a lot of celebrating in Dallas, a lot of happy times. So it's interesting. So you know how it works in life. You get the big money, expectations grow. That in any industry, that's in our industry, you get the big money, the expectations grow. So we got a 4-year contract for Dak. What are the expectations this morning, Moose, in Dallas? What if at the end of 4 years, what will he have to do? And we say, you know what, he's worth the dough.
I think he has to win a Super Bowl. I really don't think there's any other alternative. And I think one of the reasons that this contract got done is, it's been so long since the Cowboys have competed for a Super Bowl championship. So this is the piece that had to be there as part of the team. It's been an interesting offseason at the quarterback position. And I think that every Dallas Cowboy fan is grateful that Dak Prescott did not become part of a carousel during the course of the offseason.
Why did it take so long? I looked at the deal yesterday, and Dak really got whatever he wanted. He didn't have – you can't franchise tag him. He didn't have to sign a 5th year. I'm happy for him. I thought his agent did great. But, gosh, if you're going to win the deal everywhere, why did it take so long, do you believe?
Well, I just think the timing, when you looked at the 3 guys that they wanted to bring back, and this was something that the organization talked about from the very beginning, when all these negotiations started a couple of years ago, that they wanted Amari, they wanted Ezekiel, and they wanted Dak all together. Really what happened there is the order got out of whack, right out of the gate. When you signed Ezekiel Elliott first to a contract that many people thought was maybe a little bit too lucrative for a running back at that time, you really put yourself behind the 8 ball a little bit. So I think in hindsight, if you could go back in time and do this all over again, Dak Prescott would be the first person you do. And that saves you a little bit of money because the Mahomes contract is not out there at that time. But I do know that the big thing, and this is very smart on Dak's side and his agent's side, is really kind of hanging in there and fighting for that 4-year period of time, because this is going to give him another opportunity to come back at 31 and do another contract. And you don't often get to see, players in the NFL get 2 big contracts, that quickly the first part of their career.
So listen, Zeke, Amari, Zach Martin, Dak, a lot of money on the offensive side. As soon as this deal was signed, and I said, okay, they get $15 million break on the cap this year. My gut feeling, Moose, is they got to draft defense, and they got to spend that $15 million on defense. I think Dan Quinn's going to make them better defensively. But when Dak gets that money, and if you ran the Cowboys, would you now really, for the next 2 drafts, go heavy into defensive personnel?
Yeah, you might follow the Carolina Panthers last year, where they went all defense with their draft picks. You need an edge rusher to complement Marcus Lawrence. You need somebody on the back end. There's a few key positions that you have to address. And I think we all saw last season when that defense was really struggling early on. We did the Atlanta game and we did the Cleveland game. And both of those offenses were going up and down the field. Atlanta was doing it through the air and Cleveland was doing it on the ground. Yep. And that defense could not stop them. The only reason that they were in those games was because of the play of Dak Prescott. Now, the offensive line has to be healthy. I would not be surprised if Dallas does go onto the offensive side to address something in the draft, that it's a little bit of depth in the offensive line. That would be the one area that I think that they would need to address, because once that offensive line started to break down, that was really the first brick that kind of collapsed that foundation last year, were the injuries in the offensive line, and then obviously the injury to Dak Prescott. But early on, while that defense was struggling, mightily to try and find its way, Dak Prescott was the one guy that was able to keep Dallas in those games. So offensively, you've got to feel good about it. And I agree with you, Colin. I really do think that Dan Quinn was a tremendous addition,
yes,
to the Dallas Cowboys, not just from scheme and everything like that, but the culture, the way that Dan Quinn coaches and creates that energy on the defensive side of the ball. I think you're going to see a completely different side defensively from the Cowboys this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the easy one. Defense is going to be better. That's the easy one. They're going to spend some money on defense, and Dan Quinn, may not have worked as a head coach long term, but very few guys do. The guy was a great coordinator. So it's funny about the division. So this morning, if I had to guess the division, I think Philadelphia is in a little chaos. I'd put them fourth. I do think Gettleman had a good last draft. Barkley's back. I'd probably put New York third, but a puncher's chance third. And then I look at Dallas, Dak healthy again, second year under Mike McCarthy, and Washington. But it's interesting. Washington rolled them twice last year. Washington's got the better defense. Washington's got a very capable coach. And Alex Smith, Moose, went 5-1, and he wasn't healthy. So this morning, do you feel like Dallas with Dak is the best team in the division, or do you believe Washington really now has the momentum and the personnel?
Dallas is the most talented team in the division, but they may not be the best team in the division. And this was something that we saw early on last year. We had a lot of the NFC East teams, through the first 7 or 8 weeks. And one of the things we noticed right away, because we had Washington multiple times early on and then had them again later in the year, and you could see the buy-in from the team and what Ron Rivera was building there. And it happened very quickly. And so Washington right away, at about week 6, that's when he made that decision. He made the change at quarterback because he saw the rest of the division lagging behind, and he said, "Hey, I got an opportunity here where I can compete for the NFC East." It was a very aggressive move by him, and I think that sent a message to the team, and they just continued to build off that week after week. So I think Dallas obviously is the most talented, especially when you look at them at the offensive side of the ball. But Washington, they were just unique. They were tight. They were focused. Everybody was chasing that same goal. It was a very different vibe when you were around the Washington football team last season than when you were around the Dallas Cowboy football team last season. And if Dallas can't generate that this year in the offseason, with the addition of Dan Quinn and Mike McCarthy in his second year, that's going to be the most important thing. They've got to be able to tap into what Ron Rivera tapped into with his group. He and Jack Del Rio did an outstanding job getting that team ready.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. Dallas was a little kind of circling the drain early. And to your point, you could see they really bought in right before Thanksgiving, and they changed their fortunes. They were a hot team. I mean, frankly, Taylor Heineke gave Tampa Bay a game. They were a good football team at the end. So let me ask you this. The Dak injury, that injury looks so punitive and so painful. What do we know about Dak returning? Is he ready to go? You tell me what the word is on Dallas on the health part of Dak, because I'd just be guessing.
Yeah, I think he's on schedule. Maybe a little bump there with the second surgery. But I think, listen, the training staff for the Dallas Cowboys won the Trainer of the Year award from the Ed Block Club. That's a very prestigious honor. Those are the same guys that were there when I was there. They're outstanding. The medical staff in Dallas is outstanding. Everything that happens when you have an injury in Dallas, you're going to get the best possible chance to get back on the field and be as good or most times better than you were prior to that injury. So for me, looking at this injury, as gruesome as it was, I never thought that it was going to be anything that was career threatening. Yeah. I think he's going to be back on the field. He's going to be 100%. He's got a lot of people to prove right, to believe in him and what he can do. So I expect to see Dak Prescott come onto the field this season and be better than he was even in the early parts last year prior to that injury.
Super Bowl rings, 3 of them, multiple Pro Bowls. Daryl Moose Johnston, Fox Sports. Great seeing you. Thanks for jumping on this morning. We appreciate it.
Always good visiting with you, Colin.
All right, good stuff. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.